the City with Councillor Josh Matlow on In-Depth Radio, Newstalk 1010.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Josh Matlow, joined in studio by Councillor Maria Augimeri, and on the line for these 2 hours by Councillor Giorgio Mammoliti, and we are discussing the budget, which is coming up this Tuesday at Toronto City Hall, and we're going to be making the decisions that will impact how this city is run, what kind of services people are provided with, and really what kind of city we live in. And the other day I was at executive committee when they were considering the budget at Toronto City Hall, and this mom in a wetsuit walked up to me, and she gave me this card saying I'd be really honored to be on your show. And, I think the budget really is the people's budget. It's Toronto's budget, and we should be hearing from people who have an opinion on that. And by the way, if you want to make your voice heard on the budget, please give us a call here at Newstalk 1010, 416-872-1010. That's 416-872-1010. So, Susana Molinolo, welcome to the city.
Thank you very, very much. It is an honor to be here with you guys.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to hear from you. Now, you wore a wetsuit to Toronto City Hall. Why would you wear a wetsuit to City Hall?
I was trying to get some attention from the media, from councillors, and from fellow Torontonians about the fact that the budget is still being considered. Lots of things on the table, like swimming pools, rec center. I'm from Fairmount Park Community Center, and it got taken off the chopping block, but I wanted to show solidarity with all the other pools in our city.
Okay, and why do you believe that? Why should cities have pools, and why should we fund them? Why do you care?
Swimming is a life skill. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It's a skill that all children, all people should have. Sometimes when you look at things like Twitter and Facebook, there's a lot of attacks. People are saying, take care of your own kids. It's not just about children. Swimming pools are for seniors. They're for athletes who are needing rehabilitation after accidents. They're for places where people can go and relax. You can swim a lap, or you might bump into a neighbor, and instead of going for a swim, you sit on a bench and you have a coffee while your kids play in the park. I mean, community centers and pools are not just about recreation. They're about a lifestyle that makes Toronto a better city.
So what do you hope that Toronto City Council does on Tuesday?
I hope that they take the pools off the chopping block, and I hope that they will work with us, citizens, to come up with a lot of creative solutions on how we can fill the pools with a lot of programming that will make money. For example, let's have disco swimming hours for kids, for teenagers, right? Instead of just going bowling, they can go swimming and have a disco party. We can have aquafit rehabilitation for kids who are born with handicaps, for people who've had accidents. There's so much child obesity on the rise, and we have to be proactive about the future. A lot of people think we got to get these pools off the chopping block because we're going to save money right now. And long term, we're going to have obesity problems, and it's going to cost the taxpayers even more because OHIP is not going to be able to deal with all of these demands on the system. So I think that together as a city, begging all the councillors to look at the numbers, because the numbers I saw when I was at City Council the other day were just showing certain things. They're not talking about waiting lists and the demand for parks and rec programs and swimming is there. I mean, I don't know, Josh, if you've heard about all the trouble people have waking up on those mornings on registration and, sitting on the lines, waiting and trying again and again to get into programs. And it puts a big damper on the city, no matter where you are.
Susana, thank you very much for making your voice heard. Thank you very much for having the guts to show up at City Hall wearing a wetsuit. I don't know if I'd want to be seen in one, at least publicly. And I really appreciate your advocacy and your time.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you so much, Susana.
Thanks to all the councillors as well. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So, Giorgio, what do you think? I mean...
Well, I think she should take her wetsuit and go down to Queen's Park where the funding should come. I mean, it's wonderful for anyone to start saying, everybody's starting to say this, is that everything we do are not due is the municipal level of government and our responsibility. The reality is where the pools are being cut are those shared programs where traditionally we got the money from the province, and that money is running out, as you know, Josh. And the first things that we're going to cut are the ones that are not the City of Toronto's programs solely. And so we're going to keep the ones that are, and those aren't at risk. But the reality is, unless the province comes to the table, we cannot continue doing these sorts of things.
Now, believe it or not, I think that Maria Augimeri agrees with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it doesn't end there, you know. Child care and all those other programs that the province, even health care in some related cases, they come to us, they say, have we got a deal for you? You put a staffer on, and we'll pay for that staffer for a year or two, and then the year or two, comes up, and they say we don't have any funding for you anymore. And then the City of Toronto gets into a debate and says, well, it's so vital to us, we have to keep the staffer with all the privileges and benefits, and it's the Toronto taxpayer has to cover that at the end of the day. We can't keep doing that sort of thing.
Let's just hear from Maria as well.
Yeah, I agree. Much of what we do is mandated by the province, by legislation. An overwhelming percentage of our budget is mandated. That's neither here nor there right now. We must carry out these programs and we must fund them. But these other ones, they're optional. And what irks me is that the local MPPs, the members of provincial parliament, instead of struggling and fighting with their own party, their government right now, they urge people to contact their city councillor.
Well, what's happening right now with my MPP, he just sits on his hands. Doesn't go to his government that he represents and says we need the funding for child care. Instead, he's quick to sign petitions against the city, and that is so frustrating, Maria. I know you know that. It's
I hear from so many residents, including parents who've been so active on their kids' behalf for school pools, who just say, we just want somebody to take responsibility. We talk to the school board. They say it's the city's responsibility. The city says it's the Queen's Park. Queen's Park says it's the school board and the city. And round you go, and the blame game continues. And nobody seems to say, okay, this is our responsibility. And obviously we need to figure this out, because people, honestly, they're just so frustrated with all of us when nobody seems to be able to take responsibility for it. I agree with both of you that Queen's Park really should pick up the tab for school pools. I question the wisdom, though, of just kind of pulling it quickly without a lot of warning or heads up this year, but maybe as Mr. Crombie was suggesting, give it some time to see if through the Aquatics Working Group, through Crombie, through others, we can find alternative ways to fund them, because if they are cut this year, I've got a feeling we'll never see them back, and that's just a question that I've got. But let me hear from Ted from Etobicoke. What do you have to say, Ted? Hello, Ted.
Hi,
welcome.
Hi, Josh. Thank you for taking my call, and hi, Giorgio and Maria.
Hi, Ted.
Hi. You may recognize me, Giorgio, but I support Rob Ford in most of the things he have done so far, although I'm disappointed there hasn't been more cuts in staffing, because staffing is where he could have cut more, Giorgio and Maria, not in services. Staffing is still way over the number of staffing that you need. There's duplications, but what I really called about, I depend on the pools for my life, for my health. I had surgery, I had gastric bypass, I had everything, and now I have arthritis and rheumatism in both my feet. I can't walk anymore, although I was a former marathon runner. I have no choice but go to the pools and swim.
So
No pools, Josh, just 1 second.
Yeah.
No pools should be on the chopping block ever. And if we have to go to the province, then let's lobby harder. I will be there with Giorgio, with you, lobby the province, whatever we have to do. No pools, no health facilities should be on the chopping block ever.
Thank you very much for your call, Ted.
Oh, community centers are not on the chopping block, and I need to stress that, because that's my portfolio. We're not looking at that at all. In fact, what we are looking for is more of a model that the former City of Toronto has advocated and has delivered, and that's one of a resource center kind of approach, which we could get rent for people to rent space to run programming, that sort of thing.
Giorgio, we just have 10 more seconds, so just let Maria.
There's a collective agreement right now being negotiated, as you know, and part of our problem is language, and that's why we can't get rid of as many people as we'd like.
Well, listen, when we come back, I want to talk about TTC, because there's still some reductions to TTC proposed. Obviously, we've all experienced the 10-cent fare hike, and let's spend a few minutes talking about what the City of Toronto should do to support our public transit system. It's 1:45, time for Newstalk 1010, Time Saver Traffic.
You're listening to The City with Councillor Josh Matlow on In-Depth Radio, Newstalk 10.